In this video, we're going to learn how to use Tableau along with an Excel workbook. We're going to create some calculations and also some dashboards. So what I'd like you to do is navigate to My Courses, to the block April 13th to April 20th, and click on the link for Multiple Worksheet File for Tableau. Once it downloads, it should only take a few seconds to download. Click the file to open it up, and you will see that we have a workbook with multiple worksheets. We have the orders worksheet, the institutions, salespeople, and products. So we can see on the orders worksheet that we have quite a lot of orders. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom, we see that we go all the way to row 2156, which means that there are 2,155 orders that we are dealing with. Now you can see on the orders worksheet, we don't know which school. We do have a school code, we have a product code, and we have a salesperson code associated with each order. Now if I click on the institution sheet, we can see that we have a list of each school code, the name, the state, and the region associated with each school. If I click the salesperson tab, notice that I have the salesperson code associated with the salesperson name and a commission rate. And when I click on the products tab, I have the product code associated with a book name, a cost per book, and a selling price per book. Now that we understand the data, we actually don't need to have Excel open at all. All we needed to do is download this workbook. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work with Tableau. So I'm just going to close the Excel workbook. I'm going to minimize the My Courses, and now that I've installed Tableau, we can see the shortcut for Tableau Desktop on my desktop. So I'm just going to open up Tableau Desktop, and notice that it looks like there's nothing there really because we haven't opened anything up. So what I'm going to do is on the left hand side where it says connect, I'm going to connect to a file, Microsoft Excel. Since I just downloaded this file, it should be the top one in my downloads folder. So on the left hand side, I'm going to navigate to my downloads folder, and as you can see, I've practiced this a few times, so I'm going to open up the Tableau workbook that I've just downloaded, and we can see the 4 sheets on the left hand side: institutions, orders, products, and salespeople. The first step that we're going to do is we're going to drag all of the worksheets onto the canvas. So I'm going to drag institutions over to where it says drag sheets here. And now notice you can see the data below. We have the school code, the school name, the state, and the region. Next I'm going to drag orders. And notice now that we have institutions joined to orders. I'm going to click the blue part of the circle, and it actually shows me the join, school code to school code. I made sure for this example that all of the field names match that we are supposed to join, but notice we have down here that we can force a join if the field names don't match. Now that I've done the institutions and orders, now I'm going to drag products, and notice how it's joined products to the orders by product code to product code. And finally, I'm going to drag salespeople over as well. And notice even though I had 4 different worksheets, it's created basically one data source with all of the 4 tables joined. Now that we've joined the tables, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on sheet 1 down at the bottom on the left hand side where it says go to worksheet. I'm going to click on sheet 1 to begin the analysis, because over here I can look at the data and I can edit my joins and I can do all sorts of things. Now I want you to notice the headers tells you what type of field it is. So our school name has an ABC field, but our state has a geographic field, and order ID has numeric, and our order date has a date field. So Tableau has already gotten an idea of what's contained in each one of the columns. Now I'm going to click on sheet 1, and the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate some fields. So I'm going to create some calculated fields. Notice that Tableau has divided all of our fields between dimensions and measures. So basically you can think of a measure as something that you can take an average of, or a minimum, or a maximum, or multiply, or sum, or things like that. Dimensions are other attributes, for example, a particular state or a particular product name that can be summarized by the name, but not so much mathematically. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 4 more measures by creating calculated fields. We're going to calculate the revenue, which is going to be the units sold multiplied by the price per book. Next, we're going to calculate the cost, the units sold multiplied by the cost per book. Then once we have the revenue and cost, we can calculate profit. And finally, since we have a commission rate from our revenue, we can calculate commission. So from the top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Analysis, and then I'm going to click Create Calculated Field. The first calculation I'm going to call revenue. Now in the box beneath revenue, I'm just going to start typing the names of the fields that I want to include in the calculation. So for revenue, I want to take the units sold and multiply that by the price per book. So I just start typing U, and notice the fields and certain functions that begin with the letter U. So notice I have the pound for the field that's a numerical field, units sold. I'm just going to click on units sold, single click. Then I'm just going to type an asterisk because I want to multiply the units sold by the price per book. Now I just start typing the letter P. I see the field price per book. I could also type R. Notice that kind of narrows it down. So now I can single click price per book. My error has gone away. Notice I have this calculation is valid. So I can now click OK. And now under measures, I have an additional one, revenue. I'm going to create another calculated field for cost. So I'm going to click Analysis and Create Calculated Field. Notice you can edit your calculated fields. I'm going to create another calculated field. This one is going to be called cost. Now I'm going to click in the box below cost, and this one is going to be units sold. So I'm going to type UN, just single click units sold, and then I'm going to type an asterisk for multiplication, and this time I'm going to multiply that by cost per book. So I'm just going to start typing cost. There's my cost per book. Single click that. The calculation is valid, and now I just click OK. The third calculation that I want to do is profit. So I'm going to click Analysis and Create Calculated Field, and this one I will call profit. I'm going to click in the box below profit, and profit is going to be revenue minus cost. So I'm actually going to use the calculated fields that I just created in this calculated field. So I will just start typing revenue, and notice there's my numerical field revenue. Single click that, and now I'm going to subtract, so I'm going to type the minus sign, and now I'm going to start typing cost. So CO, And there's my numerical field cost. I don't want the cost per book. I want the calculated field cost. Now I have my calculation is valid, and I'm going to click OK. The fourth calculation that I am going to create is a commission by multiplying the revenue by the commission rate. So from the top menu, I'm going to click Analysis, Create Calculated Field, and this one is going to be called Commission. Click in the box below Commission and start typing revenue, and there's my revenue, my numerical field, and I'm going to multiply that by the commission rate. So I'll start typing COMM. There's my commission rate. Just single click that and click OK. And now I have created my calculated fields. Now it's time to start the analysis. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to analyze sales and total commission by salesperson. So we're on sheet 1. We're now going to create our first tables. So to create our table of sales and commission by salesperson, from the dimensions, I'm just going to choose salesperson, not salesperson code. I want their names. And I'm going to drag that into the drop field here on the left-hand side of sheet 1. In the ABC area, first, I'm going to drag the field revenue that we had created under measures. So I'm going to scroll down until I see revenue, and I'm going to drag that to where it says ABC. And we have our total revenue by salesperson. The next one we want to do is get the commission. So I'm going to drag the field commission over in the same area. So in the black, drag it over where we had the revenue. And now we have two columns, commission and revenue. Looks very nice. Now we're going to create a new sheet. So down at the bottom, where you see data source and sheet 1, we see several shortcuts over here. Here we see a new worksheet. Here we see a new dashboard. And here we see a new story. We won't be using stories in this video. So I'm going to click New Worksheet. But before I do that, I'm going to click back on Sheet 1. In the table where it says Sheet 1, I'm going to double click and I'm going to change the name. So I'll delete where it says Sheet Name, and I will just type Revenue and Commission by Salesperson. And click OK. And I also want to know what the sheet is, so where it says Sheet 1, I'm going to double click Sheet 1, and just like Excel, I can rename this. So I'll just call RC space Sales P. So for revenue and cost by salesperson. Now I'm going to click on Sheet 2 down at the bottom, just like with Excel, but it is a little bit different than Excel. And in this one, we're going to create a bar chart of profit by salesperson. So for this one, I'm going to drag the dimension salesperson into the left where it says drop field here. Where it says ABC, I'm going to drag profit. But what I'm going to do is over on the right hand side, you're going to see all of the available charts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the bar chart. It says that it is a recommended chart. And now I have a bar chart of profit by salesperson. So I'm going to double click where it says Sheet 2. Select where it says Sheet Name, and instead type profit by salesperson. And click OK. And then I'm going to double click where it says Sheet 2 and Sales P profit. We're going to create 4 more sheets. So next to where it says salesperson profit, I'm going to click the new worksheet icon down at the bottom. And now I have sheet 3. On sheet 3, we're going to do revenue by state, but we're going to do a map chart. So over here from the dimensions, I'm going to drag state. Notice it has a geographic dimension type. So one that has a geographic dimension type, you can actually use a map chart with that. So I'm going to drag state over to the left hand side where it says drop field here. This one we want revenue by state. So under measures, I'm going to drag revenue into that ABC area. And then over on the right hand side, I'm going to click the one that looks like a map. And it takes a moment, but I have a nice chart over here with, when I hover over each state, and the size of the dots tells me the relative revenue from each state. So as I hover over, I can see the revenue from each state, and the size of the dots show the relative size. I can change the color by clicking the color icon. I can change the size by doing the size icon and just click away. I can add labels if I would like, and add tooltips or edit them. So there are many things over here that I can do with my chart. So I'm going to rename sheet 3 revenue by state. So I'm going to double click. Now I could just rename the sheet and accept the sheet name as the default, but I'd like to use longer names for our charts and graphs. So I'm going to select where it says sheet name, and I will change this to revenue by state and click OK and rename sheet 3 state revenue. We have 3 more sheets to add. The next sheet that we're going to add is profit by state, sorted from highest to lowest. So I'm going to click next to where it says state revenue. I'm going to click the icon for new worksheet. And now I have sheet 4. And for this one, I'm also going to drag state into the left-hand side drop field here. This one we want profit. So I'm going to drag profit into the ABC area. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to sort this list from most profitable state to least profitable state instead of in alphabetical order. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the buttons on the toolbar right above where it says columns. So I have right over here a button for sort lowest to highest, and over here a button sort highest to lowest. So we can see sort state descending by profit. So I'm just going to click that button, and now I have the highest profit state down to the lowest profit state. And I'm just going to change this from a table into a bar chart by going over to the right and clicking the bar chart. Now I will call this, I will double click where it says sheet 4, and I will call this chart profit by state. And of course as well, rename the sheet state profit. To demonstrate the visualizations, I need to have a few worksheets, so bear with me while we create 2 more worksheets. So I'm going to create my 5th worksheet by clicking New Worksheet down at the bottom to the right of where it says State Profit. And on this worksheet, we're going to show the top 10 most profitable books. So on sheet 5, I'm going to drag book name into drop field here. I'm going to drag profit into that ABC area to the right of the book name. So to get the top 10 most profitable books, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag book name into the filter area, and notice I get the filter book name dialog box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the tab. Notice there are 4 tabs: General, Wildcard, Condition, and Top. So I'm going to click Top. I'm going to click the radio button where it says by field, and notice the default is top 10 profit. So I'm just going to click OK. And now for sheet 5, I'm going to call this sheet or this table the most profitable books, and click OK. And profit books for the sheet name. And finally, let's get our least profitable books. So I'm going to do new worksheet one last time. I'm going to drag book name into the drop field here on the left hand side of the canvas. I'm going to drag profit into the ABC area. I'm going to drag book name into the filters area. Have the filter book name dialog box come up. Click the tab for top. Click the radio button by field. And this one I will choose the bottom 10 by profit. And some notice, even though it's not included, I can actually choose a different field to filter by, but I will choose the bottom 10 by profit and click OK. And we have our bottom 10 by profit, and I will call this the least profitable books. And rename sheet 6 least profit. So up until now we've created a lot of different tables in all the sheets, but we really haven't done very much that Excel can't do. Well, one of the things that Tableau is really made for is visualizations. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a dashboard, and we'll actually create 3 dashboards that have 2 different visualizations or 2 different charts on each one. So instead of clicking new workbook, what I'm going to do, worksheet, excuse me, I'm going to click new dashboard. So I'm going to click new dashboard, and notice all the sheets that I have available are over on the left hand side. So for this one I'm going to choose all of the salespeople. So I'm going to do my first table, the RC salespeople, and that is my revenue and commission by salesperson. And next we'll bring in our chart for profit by salesperson. We'll drop it in at the bottom, and we can always move it around, see how it looks at the top. I actually like that one at the top, and the chart at the bottom, it wants to do top and bottom. Now let's move on to our second dashboard. So I'm going to add a new dashboard, and this one is going to be all our revenue and profit by state. So I'll bring in my state revenue map, and I'll also bring in my state profit bar chart, and we now have 2 nice visualizations. I could bring this one side by side or top and bottom. The last visualization, the last dashboard I'm going to do, new dashboard, is our most profitable and least profitable books. So I'm going to bring in my chart for the most profitable books side by side with our least profitable books. And there we go. This is our tutorial on the basics of Tableau.